Hey, Prime members, did you know that you could be listening to this episode and every episode of Funny 'Cause It's True ad-free on Amazon Music? That's right. Prime members get access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts. To listen, download the Amazon Music app or visit amazon.com/FCIT. With Amazon Music, you get access to the most ad-free top podcasts. Avoid the ads and listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free with the Amazon Music app or by visiting amazon.com/FCIT. That's amazon.com/FCIT. If you struggle with anxiety or depression, let me start by saying you are not alone. Hers can help you find the support that you need. Through Hers, you can get access to real medical providers 100% online. The process is simple. No insurance, no doctor's appointments, no pharmacies, just mental health treatment. To get started, go to forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Lemonada.
Okay, actually, can you just pretend that you're listening to a fully complete theme song here? I got really in my head, and I tried to make it perfect, and I couldn't. So this is going to be the theme song right here. Hello, and welcome to Funny 'Cause It's True. I'm Elyse Myers. I want you to stop listening to this podcast right now. Just press pause. I know we just started, but trust me. Look up Basic on Vimeo by Chelsea Devantez. It's like 3 minutes. Go do it. Okay, are you back? That is a project from my guest today, Chelsea Devantez herself. She wrote, directed, and starred in that project all on her own time, with her own money, and while doing so, she got to reconnect to her own personal creativity. She's brilliant. When you look at the repertoire of Chelsea's work, my jaw, genuinely is just on the floor. Chelsea's been a head writer for the late-night show The Problem with Jon Stewart. She's the co-executive producer of the show Not Dead Yet, and she's also working on feature films, a book deal, and developing a comedy show called This Is Our Year on CBS, which is about a single mom raising her teenage daughter. And to top it all off, she is incredibly generous, especially in this conversation with me today. So 2 things that are funny because they're true. Number 1, did you know it was pronounced Silicon Valley and not Silicone Valley? I didn't. And then I convinced Chelsea that she didn't know how to pronounce it either. And number 2, there was a point in our conversation where Chelsea was giving me this incredible advice about script writing for television, and I was aggressively nodding in agreement. Meanwhile, I had zero context for the advice that she was giving me. Perfect. Okay, let's get into it. Chelsea, hi, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I love your videos. You're so fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I wanted to say really quick, I was scrolling your Instagram and you just got married, correct?
I did. I got married in October. Yeah.
The photos, it's the most beautiful wedding I've ever seen in my entire life.
Thank you.
What, can you talk about it?
Yes, of course. There's no NDA on the wedding. It's it's a Chelsea exclusive, but I can give you the rights.
Did you have the best day?
It truly was. We went to go look at wedding venues, and basically I knew I was moving to New York for the Jon Stewart job. So I was like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah.
We have to choose now. And then the event will actually be in 2 years from now.
Right.
And so we go to the first one and we were immediately like, this is fine. This looks like a room. I don't know. This is fine.
There's walls and it works.
There's walls. It seems fine. And my husband's mom was just like, please just see 3 of them. Just see 3, then you can decide. And what we really wanted was an empty soundstage that we could do a production. I ended up calling it a marital concert.
A whole Broadway musical.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't need arches. I need a lighting grid. You know what I mean? I need some light changes.
Yes.
And so
I actually cried super hard before my wedding because I was scared people were going to look at me with their eyeballs. So I can't really relate to this any less, but I do love it so much.
As we were walking through the venue, there was just an extra room and we're like, what would we do with that? And then we started just giving each other bits. And so we came up with a few bits early on that kind of shaped the whole wedding. We did a grocery store sheet cake when we printed a photo of people who weren't us on it, and we cut it with a double handsaw, like for a bit. The other was that we would hire stand-ins who vaguely looked like us to stand below a sign that said, "Take a selfie with Yasser and Chelsea."
Oh my God.
And like,
did you actually do that?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. We hired 2 people who vaguely looked like us. And we gave a speech at the reception. We were like, we really want to take a photo with each of our guests. So we're going to be in the back room. Like, please come find us. We want to take a photo with everyone. And so people would walk into the back room and be like, "Chelsea, yes, wait." And it was just like 2 actors.
Did you have anybody there that like didn't know you well that didn't notice?
Oh my God. Can you imagine? No.
I can't imagine, because that would be me. And then I would never say anything about it. And I would post it and be like, "This is them." That would be my story for that day.
That would have been thrilling for us.
Well, so you mentioned Jon Stewart, and like you had so much happening. Like you're doing like Jon Stewart, you have a podcast, like you're a producer and writer on shows. Like,
yeah.
How?
Yeah.
How?
You know what's funny is that with Jon Stewart, I would be learning the 2017 tax plan just to make sure that what we were saying about non-trickle-down economics in 2021 and our jokes, or 2022, was correct, right? So it's like, before you could even write jokes, it's like, I need to really understand like all of the tax plans.
Yeah.
And then at night, nothing was better than being like, what color bow should I put on my head? Like they like fed into each other. Where like, because he covers really tough topics, and we did my dream episode, which was this tie-in between gun violence and domestic violence. So very lighthearted stuff, and to kind of like ease my brain, I would like go wedding dress shopping, because that's just so frivolous, so selfish, so trite, and like I enjoyed wedding planning so much because my job was so hard, and even now I wish I had something as fun as that to take a break with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you prioritize what gets your attention when you're doing so many things at one time? Because for me, I'm like a one at a time person. And so I couldn't even imagine doing all 3.
I think I just exist best with multiple things. Like if I don't have multiple things going on, I'll use my brain to come up with another thing versus like focus on what I should be doing.
Really?
Yeah. I like to stack. And so, I do, I would say other people call it unhealthy. They would have tasteful concerns about what I do, but I would, work always comes first.
The thing that I do when like I'm super overwhelmed with life and work, even in the middle of the day, is I will put all my devices on airplane mode and like draw on my iPad. And this is almost to my detriment. Like people will actually need to get a hold of me, and I'm like doodling, and it is irresponsible, but it is the only thing that makes me feel like I'm not going to lose my mind. So I'm still trying to find a balance. I saw a clip of you in the writer's room with Jon Stewart, and all of you guys looked like you were having so much fun, and it was so simple. And I am so new into this world. So the idea of like even sitting in a writer's room.
Oh, wow. You don't seem new at all.
Oh, girl, I was a web developer like a year ago.
What?
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Wow. You're pushing it so hard. It's unfair.
Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. But every time I see videos like the one you were in the writer's room, I'm just so curious as to what that looks like and how that feels and what the process is when being in something and a part of something so much bigger than just you.
It's terrifying at first. So terrifying. So John gave me my first break into television ever on a show of his that never came out. We worked on it for a year. And then I went and worked on a show called The Opposition on Comedy Central with Jordan Klepper. That was another late night show. Then I went into narrative. And I would say late night shows really teach you, like, you just have to go so fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the news comes out that morning, your show's going up that night. So like you just kind of learn like to pitch and think really fast. And then going through enough of that made it so that once you get to the Jon Stewart room, you're like really having fun.
Yeah.
But there was so much before that where it was just like vomit and panic and pain.
The first show that didn't make it, did that hurt your confidence at all as a writer? Did you internalize any of that and being like, I don't know if I want to do this. I can't handle this disappointment? Because someone listening for me, I'd be like, I don't think I'd try again. I'd be like, I give up.
Oh, amazing. No, not at all. Also, the show didn't go because there was a heavy tech component to it. Okay. Like, I always call it Silicon Valley. That's not it. Silicon Valley. It was like Silicon Valley tech was like a big part of making the production of this show work. Like,
wait, I've been calling it Silicon Valley. What is it?
Silicon. I've been saying silicon. I always say it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, it's silicone. That's
Silicon.
what it is.
It's silicon, right? Oh God, Elyse. We've enabled each other to not know how to say it.
Someone will correct us later. Someone will leave a review.
Oh, great. Online? Amazing. Yeah, I look forward to it.
For the record, Chelsea was right. It's silicon.
No, but there was like this technology that was needed because it was like an animated show and it just wasn't ready. Obviously, there were a lot of components to it, but like I had such a fantastic time, working with John as my first job in TV. I just respected him so much and had such a great relationship with him. Obviously, it's like how we ended up working together the second time. So it was really great. The thing that hurt was that it would never come out, so no one would ever know I did it. So so getting another job, it still looked like I'd never had a job before. Yeah. So that was very hard.
We have to take a quick break, but when we return, Chelsea talks to us about writing for late night versus writing fiction. Every plate is just next level creative with some of these recipes. I mean, caramelized onion burgers with Dijon aioli and potato wedges, sweet and spicy ponzu pork meatballs with roasted broccoli and buttery rice. These meals are so indulgent and delicious that you'd never believe that Every Plate is 25% cheaper than grocery shopping. Every Plate can help you get more bang for your buck with 25 tasty and affordable recipes to choose from each week. Plus, you also have your choice of 22 sides, snacks, desserts, and more. Better yet, Every Plate offsets 100% of their carbon footprint to your door, and their meals have a 31% lower carbon footprint on average than supermarket meals of the same portion. What surprised me the most about Every Plate is how quickly the meals come together. Not only am I saving a ton of time by not waiting in line at the grocery store, but I'm usually done preparing dinner and ready to eat in under 30 minutes. Plus, I always have leftovers, which are the best part of cooking, let's be honest. Get started with Every Plate for just $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code Elyse149. That's everyplate.com/podcast and code Elyse149. When you're working on reducing your anxiety or depression, it can be so overwhelming just trying to figure out where to begin. My advice? Don't tackle it alone. There are people who can help you take a step back and assess your options, then find the best one for you. Hers offers access to mental health care that can support you in your day-to-day, including dealing with anxiety and depression. At forhers.com, you can get access to real medical providers who can prescribe trusted mental health medication if it's right for you. The process is 100% online, including free unlimited check-ins, provider messaging, and support along the way. Plus, to make things even simpler, you can get your first month of treatment for just $25 if prescribed. To get started, go to forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Hers has helped empower so many people to find the best treatment for themselves, putting it back in your hands. Get started today at forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Offer only available if prescribed. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. I wanted to tell you, so Bless This Mess, I saw it when I first moved to Nebraska.
Oh my gosh, wow. Was it accurate?
Well, it depends on where you are. I live in Omaha, so it's much more like city.
Yeah.
But it's how it feels. That is how it feels to move from Australia to California to Nebraska. I was like, this is my life. Like my husband Jonas just was watching and he's like, we love the show so much. And so I want to tell you that felt very close to home. Yeah, it was so good. And because you were saying with Jon Stewart, you have to be so up to date with current stuff. Do you find that you have more freedom and it's more fun to write for narrative shows?
Way more fun. Yeah. Which for anyone listening, a narrative show is Abbott Elementary or The Last of Us. It's a, story-driven show that's fiction.
Yeah.
I will say late night is so hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. I mean, sometimes you have to write 50 jokes a day and you just have to you have to know so much before you can even write a joke. And also if you're someone like me, and I know, Elyse, you'll relate to this, with just intense anxiety, sort of taking in that amount of news all the time.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's also like they create news shows to spike anxiety. That's how their headlines are written. They're never like, hey, this thing happened today, but don't worry, it's okay, we caught him. They're like, man, killing everyone near your house.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Lock your doors. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to die tonight.
Yes. And so, I mean, that really would seep into my system. My mental health would take it was hard for me. And so, and then you get to narrative and they're like, all right, so Lake Bell and Dax Shepard have moved from California to Nebraska and we're going to have some farm shenanigans.
And they're going to have weird friends and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And cracking a story is also really, really difficult. But being in the room is a lot more fun because what you're talking about, or you're like, oh, like in my small town, like this happened. What if this, versus like, so Trump got back on Twitter.
Yeah, I barely can manage telling stories about my own life without spiraling. So I just don't think I could report stories about the world.
It's also hard too, because you're on the internet a lot. I'm also on the internet a lot. And you kind of take in a lot of energy from that. And sometimes internet energy is really fun and really motivating. And then obviously within that, there's someone there to just ruin your day.
Yeah.
And have you figured out how to handle that at all?
It's different for me because a lot of what people dislike me for, if they do, is they just don't like me. There's not it's not there's
without rhyme or reason. There's not you.
It's not. I'm telling stories about my life for the most part, and I haven't ventured into the fiction, that kind of world because I'm too scared to at this point. And so my safety net is, I know at the end of the day, if someone consumes my content and hates me, it's like, oh, you just don't like me as a person. And I can't do anything about that. It's
and that's
not
freeing.
And if you don't find me funny, then it's like, okay, we have different senses of humor. It's not like she did this and I hate her as a person, because I just don't do anything other than share my life. And so, I could mess up and make a mistake and someone could hate me for that. I'm like, please do, because that was a horrible decision. But for the most part, it's, they're like, I don't know, she gives me a horrible vibe. I hate her face. It's like, well, I can't change that.
And it's also so baseless. Also, it's interesting you say, I'm scared of fiction, so my safety is my real life. I'm the total opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I feel safe in fiction. I feel safe in comedy. I don't want to talk about myself. Which is now what I do on my podcast. But but if anything, I hope that gives you a heart to when that you can do fiction. You know what I mean? Everyone feels safe in different places, and you'll feel safe in fiction if you ever want to, but your life is endless. So who knows?
Well, technically not endless, but if I go down that road, I'll spiral. So I will continue to tell myself that I'm going to live forever. Yeah. I'm learning that there can be a healthy mix of both fiction and real life. There, a lot of even listening to podcasts like The Office Ladies, hearing them talk about the writers and how a lot of the stories happening in the show were from funny things that happened in their life.
Yeah.
Learning how to incorporate those things, and also filling your table with people that are so good at what they do, and then you all can build off of each other. I think that's the part that I want the most. And I'm curious, when you're looking for a writer and looking to sit at a table with writers, what are you looking for in a good writer when you're trying to build that team?
Yeah, well, I think most importantly, especially for any writers out there, is that it's subjective, So in TV shows, there's a showrunner. That person's usually they're the creator and writer of the show. It's kind of their taste. Right. And I will say, one thing that I have so appreciated from the showrunners who have done this, and my showrunners for Not Dead Yet did this, which is they don't allow any assholes into the room.
I love that.
Because assholes are often very talented people, because they don't care about anything but themselves and what they do. So, but really saying listen, there are other talent, especially how the world has changed. Now there's more talented people than just the assholes. So they don't have to be chosen. And it really changes how you are allowed to be creative in the room and how you go home at night and have a nice life, because there's no assholes there, which is rare. And so I would say for me, that is definitely talent comes first. But if I was between two really talented people and one person had recommendations of being a good, kind person and the other person was dicey, I would probably take an untalented person who just had interesting life stories before I took an asshole.
Yeah.
Because you spend so much time with people in writers' rooms and you get so intimate, you get so personal. You just can't have those people around. I also, the really cool thing with TV writing is that like your talent is on the page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's very easy to tell if someone can write or not. I think even like, I feel like I can tell if someone's a good writer from the first page.
Really?
Yes, because and this is like, I don't know if writers listen to your podcast, but I feel like this tip is out there, but like needs to be out there more, which is like your first page has to be perfect. Yeah. You have not made a perfect first page. You're out of your mind. Your first page should make me care. It should make me laugh. And at the end of the first page, there should be a tiny little reveal or a huge giant twist.
By the way, when you say page, what's that? A page of what?
Yeah, a page. So a script specifically.
Okay. I mean, the sheer amount of time that I have been in such intense agreement with Chelsea in this conversation without having any clue what she's talking about here is impressive. I think this actually breaks a record for me. And I should have asked a question so much earlier to clarify what she was talking about, but I was too nervous. And then the longer it went, the less I wanted to ask her a question about what she was talking about. So I just kept being like, yeah, totally, totally.
It's like, if you can make someone laugh with an 8x11.5 space, that's talent. That's not a lot of space. You know what I mean?
Speaking of doing a lot of things in a short amount of space, I did see your short film Basic.
Well, thank you for watching.
Oh my God. First of all, amazing. Like the best.
Thank you.
Of course. But then I was curious, did you write it all out like that? Like when you were writing it and you pitched it to people, or you just made it yourself?
Yes. So that was a 3-page script. Okay. Which is unheard of with short films. Yeah. It's the shortest short film that's ever been made. The two things about that film that I'm really proud of is that, one, when you sell TV shows or write on TV shows, there's so many people weighing in. Yeah. Only 70% of them should have any business saying anything about your art. You're just like, you were like an accountant. and there are really creative accountants. They were like an uncreative accountant being like, I have a thought on this character. You're like, this is moronic, but you have to listen because they're giving you money.
Totally.
And it takes so long. And so I was so sick of that. I was like, I just need to make something that I enjoy again. I need to remember why I started doing this, because this place is sucking the life out of me. And so I wrote it really short so that I could afford to do it, because I did it all obviously
important
for free and for cheap, you know, affording it is so important.
Biggest part.
So I set up one thing, I revealed it to not be that thing. Then I revealed it again, and then I revealed it again, and then the film's over. And I think that was, I've gotten feedback that it's a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah. It was like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's 3 minutes.
3 minutes. For it to be that short, you packed so much into it that I'm like, why isn't everything only 3 minutes? Yeah. It was like, this was like amazing. I don't know. It was so brilliant. Oh my God. It's so good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. After it went to South by, I wrote it into a feature film, which I know is shocking because you're like, how is that a feature film? But now it's like the thing that's like most important to me. And we're waiting for someone to give us all the money. But so who knows if it'll ever get made.
Again, affording it. Biggest part.
Biggest obstacle.
Let's take a quick break, and when we return, Chelsea and I talk about the thing I probably dread the most in my entire life, which is feedback. But like all things, she makes it not so scary, so stick around. Do you take a million photos and only let them sit in your phone for ages? Well, what if you could put all of your photos, from random camera roll pictures to high-res wedding albums, onto one gorgeous frame? You can now with a digital frame from Aura. Named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter, The Strategist, and featured in hundreds of gift guides, Aura frames are guaranteed to make mom or grandma smile. An Aura frame brings all your photos and videos together in one stunning high-resolution display where mom can really enjoy them, aka not a group text or on social media. Aura lets you preload any frame with meaningful memories and a special message that will appear as soon as it's set up. Could not be easier. Plus, you can invite the whole family to add to the frame, letting people contribute their memories from wherever they are. Oh, and did I mention there's free unlimited storage? Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com. That's AURA frames.com. Use code Elyse to get up to $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver frames. This deal ends on May 14th, so don't wait. Terms and conditions apply. How many exclamation points do you guys like to use in your emails? Because personally, I average about 3 per sentence. I just don't want anyone to think I'm mad at them. Oh, and I do thank people I'm writing maybe 5 or 6 times throughout the email. I don't know why. It's a really bad habit. And that's why I love and maybe need Grammarly. They can help you keep that tone focused and get all of your work done confidently. Grammarly's bonus writing tips are awesome too. Grammarly is great with spelling and grammar and everything, but it's even better at acting as a coach for you as you learn how to make your writing more concise and direct as a whole. The free version of Grammarly offers instant proofreading with comprehensive spelling, grammar, and punctuation suggestions. They also offer a tone detector, but I personally recommend the premium version, which offers clarity-focused sentence rewrites. The right tone can move any project forward when you get it just right with Grammarly. Go to grammarly.com/tone to download and learn more about Grammarly's premium advanced tone suggestions. That's grammarly.com/tone. How has it been? Because you're a co-producer on Not Dead Yet, which means you're up there. So like,
I'm up there.
You're so sounded so offensive. You're like up there, I guess. Sorry, that was so dismissive of like what you're actually doing.
No, I thought it was perfect.
But yeah, you're co-producing, and I'm sure that there's a lot of voices that go into that. So like, how do you navigate that? Is there a lot of just people pleasing until you kind of get what you want, or is it really just a lot of trust with the team?
You know, the showrunners, David and Casey, like they're the ones making the calls of like, are we going to take these notes, or are we really going to push back? Is this making it better? Is this making it worse? And like, God, notes are an art form and almost everyone's bad at it. But like, sometimes people are saying to you, like, I didn't like that this character made a honk noise with her mouth, and I don't want her to do that. And you're like, okay, that's the note. We have to take out the honk the nose joke. This is not a real example, but you know,
but
and
similar. You
have to like go deep and be like, oh, they don't feel emotionally connected to this person.
Yeah.
They think that they're being weird. They don't understand their emotional drive. And that's a different note than take out the honk, the nose joke. That's a note of like, we don't understand their story. And so, but you know, we have some, especially on that show, people who give phenomenal notes. And so that part's great. But like, I've worked on shows with very bad note givers, and it's really tough. You kind of like watch your art get ripped to pieces and you're not the one paying for it or producing it. So it's kind of up to them if they make it or not, you know?
That would feel like a whole job in itself, just understanding the feedback you're getting, and then also learning like, what is actually important for me to implement and not? And like, will I make a huge mistake by not implementing this like thing that someone wants me to change? And like, I've found that with feedback, especially even on this podcast, like at the beginning, I'm so fresh to this and I'm working with people that are so like have been in this business and so good at what they do. I was approaching it as like, I know better than you, and I didn't. And so I would like get feedback and I'd be like, no. And then I would do the thing they were asking to prove them wrong, and they would be proving me right as I was doing it. And I found like it was very humbling at the start of like having to just really submit to people that are so much better at this and have been doing it longer, and the trust of like, you want me to succeed. You have my best interest in heart. A win for me is a win for you. So like having that mutual trust and understanding on a team must be just so crucial. And again, that goes back to your point of not hiring assholes. Like that vibe in a room of like, even though you're good at your job, if you're an asshole to me while doing it, like that, I can't trust you.
Who cares?
Like,
I also think there's something really important too, which is that you do have to know when you're right. Because I think I'm the opposite of you. I'm such a people pleaser. People could like be like, don't do that. I'm like, you're right. I quit. I leave. But there was this like time in my life where I was performing at Second City. And the way you perform at Second City is that there's this like 3-month writing period where you have premises for ideas. Sometimes it's scripted, but sometimes it's fully improvised, and you do it for the audience. Right. And if it like goes kind of well, you refine it. You do it again until it gets cut or whatever. So I brought in this idea in, I want to say 2012. I'm not sure. I don't know what time it is, but it was in a time when joking about feminism was like still a revelation. Like we weren't past it. There was no girl boss yet. Right. So it was like, whoa, crazy. So I brought in this joke about feminism, and my director was like, this isn't a joke. This is fun. This is not funny in any way. I think you'd embarrass yourself by doing this. And I was like, oh, okay. Yep. I don't want to do that. Because to him, it really didn't look like a joke. It just didn't even read as a joke to him. And so then one night he was like, hey, this is the night when like everyone gets to try out whatever they want, even if I haven't let you try it before. So I was like, you know what? Somewhere inside me, I was like, I think I'm going to do this. I put it up. Elyse, it fucking crushed. It crushed
Really?
so hard. It had like a standing O, which is like a weird thing to do for a sketch. But it went, and the director was like, holy shit, I was so wrong. This is going in the show. And I do find that instance helped me know, like, sometimes other people don't know how special something is because it hasn't been done yet. Yeah. And what makes you an artist is that you can feel it and think it, and like to have the courage to sometimes be wrong and to like hold on to the thing that made you special to begin with, because this business will remove it from you as fast as possible. Yeah. They will drain your blood. You will become a blood bag in Mad Max in 2 seconds.
I think what's so funny about that, and it's so different in my specific situation, is because like I am not separate. It's literally my name. It's my life stories. Really it's tough. Like my voice. Like it's me. It's not a character.
Yeah, I hear that. It's interesting too, because I'm currently in the final draft stages of it's like a comedy gal memoir. So it's a memoir, but it's like, it's comedy gal, and it comes out like it's a comedy gal. I'm the comedy gal. It comes out next winter, but it is essentially my life.
Wow.
But you do get feedback on it. Also, in the fiction world, Elyse, I don't want to scare you, but I sold a show about my life.
I'm already scared. Technically, I am scared all the time, like specifically about everything, but also about the script writing thing.
This is gonna ruin it for you, but I want to fortify you. Okay. I sold a show about my life, this like specific time in my life with me and my mom, and like I would get notes where they'd be like, well, if this happens, it's too sad. And I'd be like, okay, well, that's honestly the nice version of what really occurred.
Do you know how much I left out?
You're ruining my life, right? You're ruining my actual life with these notes. It was so hard. I was like, I cannot sell my life again. I need a break. Because they would be like, well, and then if this happens, like, don't we hate them? I'm like, you do? So it's like, wait, no. So yeah, even though it's fictional and stuff. And then now I'm doing the same thing in the book where like, I'm looking at my own book and I'm going, you know what? I don't think this story is that entertaining, but it's one of the most important stories in my whole life. Well, you know what? That's probably for my journals then. This is a book for everybody else. I got to cut the story that's not that fun to read, even though it means a lot to me. It's hard.
One of the hardest things about telling stories about your life, especially when you're classified as a comedian and you set that expectation of someone to laugh at a story that you tell, it's knowing what to leave in and kind of what to keep out. Because oftentimes I'll start a story and I'll realize like halfway through, it is so sad. But it feels so crucial to the funny bits about my life. Like, you can't have one without the other. But without the context of you living through it, just listening as a stranger, it sounds super depressing. So I can't tell those stories. And I would imagine that's kind of what Chelsea is experiencing here as she's gathering all these stories to put together for her book. So I was going to ask you if you were going to write a book, because your whole podcast is reading about celebrity memoirs. And I was like, I wonder if she's ever going to write her own. And then are you going to talk about it on your podcast? So for you to say that, I'm like, I'm so excited that you're writing your own.
Thank you. Well, the podcast definitely, the reason I talk about female celebrity memoirs, mostly females, sometimes we make a men's memoir exception, but the men's memoirs aren't as good. But it's because those books really meant a lot to me and they raised me in many ways. Like as a woman who wants to be in this business, it's so funny. Like people would be like, oh, these are that trash celebrity memoir where they just like lie to you for money. Meanwhile, I'd be reading Carol Burnett's book and she like taught me how to get an agent.
Yeah.
I'm just like, these books are treasure to me. So talking about them on the podcast. And then I did an episode where I got really vulnerable and I was like, I'll do my story. And now I get to write a book, which is like always been my dream. And like the podcast really inspired it to happen. And I feel very grateful.
With the podcast, that is something I noticed where like most people do kind of shit on celebrity memoirs as they take it like a cash grab, or it's like, of course, and it's like you give them the time and the attention that they deserve. And I really, really love that. And was that what you wanted to do from the beginning? Was that the plan?
Yeah. And there's like other podcasts that do it too. And like, I think they can be made fun of really easily. And so it's like very funny, but like, Elyse, if you were to write a memoir, it would be a celebrity memoir. And what if I was like, oh, look at this dog shit idiot telling us about our fucking life. What a loser. And it's like, okay, but like, and I'm using you as an example, but it's like
that's a person with a life story.
Yeah. And it's not like, oh, we have to be nice to celebrities, but like specifically with women, like, do you know what that woman went through to become the woman on Us Weekly that we're calling a fat, ugly slut? Do you know what I mean? Like
it's
there's
devastating.
So much pain and obstacles, and like even the quote unquote worst women, you know, they have so much to their stories to even get there. And like, we don't let women be very powerful in our society. And one section where we do is if they are hot celebrities.
Yeah.
Where, you know, and it's like, and then we're like, oh, but you're losers. You shouldn't tell us about your life. I hate it. I can't stand it. Like when the books are bad, like I will call it out, but like, there's also so much trauma in the books.
Yeah. Usually it's like the first few chapters are trauma because
the
it's
whole
like
things are usually like, remember when remember when everyone was like booing me at the Tony Romo game? I just got out of an abusive relationship with John Mayer and you were all calling me fat, even though it was a size 4. And you're like, holy shit.
What's funny is I don't know if you've ever heard of the podcast, The Maintenance Phase.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Obsessed. So they just did huge name, played Cleopatra.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah, because she wrote a half diet book.
Yeah. So they just reviewed her diet book, and they usually like make fun of like the diet portion of it because it's usually just like, oh, this is like disordered eating. This isn't like, you know, a diet. But then they go into her story, and I'm like, it just reminded me a lot of the things that you talk about on your podcast and how you like highlight these people's lives. And it's like this woman was celebrated as the most beautiful woman in the world at like 8. And then ever since that, like that's creepy. And then too, like she's like held to this standard that she's like the most beautiful woman in the world. And also she's too fat. It's like, she is the standard and you're like measuring her compared to her standard. That's her.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like, where are you getting these rules from? Like,
yeah. And also like this actress who was like undeniably one of our most famous, powerful actresses wrote a diet book. That's what she had to give us because of what we asked of her. Like
that's what we
I will say they also covered Angela Lansbury's wellness book, which I hope on my podcast, like it's like we are talking about the books and we're talking about the women, but we're really talking about like ourselves and life and like culture and trauma and also getting the goss of like, you know, Ashton Kutcher wore a white fedora to his wedding and then cheated on Demi Moore the next day. You know what I mean? Like I love that stuff too.
Are you going to break down your own book when it comes out?
I am. I'm going to invite my best friends on.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and do it. So we'll see.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm proud of you for writing that. I'm also proud of you for making a long form version of Basic.
Thank you. Well, Basic's not happening until the check is cashed, but thank you, Elyse.
That's fair. Thank you seriously so much. This has been so good. I feel like I have a new friend in you. That's like, I'm just like, I wish I could hug you.
You do. I hope you want to come on my podcast now and read a book with me.
Literally anytime. Thank you so much for listening to my conversation with Chelsea Devantez. Make sure you check out her podcast, Celebrity Book Club, and watch Not Dead Yet on ABC. If you like our show, give us a rating and a review. It helps other people find us. All right, see you next week. Bye. There's more Funny 'Cause It's True with Lemonada Premium. You'll get access to all of Lemonada's premium content, including My 5 Questions with Chelsea Devantez coming out this Friday. Subscribe now in Apple Podcasts. Funny 'Cause It's True is a Lemonada Media and Powder Keg production. The show is produced by Claire Jones, Zoe Dennis, and Linnea Tony. Our associate producer is Tiffany Bowie. Rachel Neal is our Senior Director of New Content, and our VP of Weekly Production is Steve Nelson. Executive producers are Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, Paul Feig, Laura Fisher, Kesla Childers, and me, Elyse Myers. This show is mixed by Johnny Vince Evans, additional help from Noah Smith and Ivan Krayev. Our theme song music was written by me and scored by Xander Singh. Follow Funny 'Cause It's True wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership. Boo-doo-doo-doo-boom-doo.
Hi, my name is Kelsey McKinney, and I'm the host of Normal Gossip, a show that is now back for its 4th season with Radiotopia. Normal Gossip is a show about the petty, the ridiculous, and the strange stories that surround us in the world, and the way that we share those stories with each other. In the top half of the show, Normal Gossip investigates how gossip functions in the world, and how we use it for good, for evil, and for neutral. The stories are sent in by listeners, anonymized, and retold to a guest who is asked to weigh in on the actions, beliefs, and decisions made by the people in the stories. We have a great time on this show, and if you love mess, please come join us.
If you love Lemonada content, a quick, easy, and free way to help us keep our shows running is to fill out our anonymous listener survey. By just answering a few questions, you can help us find new brands to connect with and also share feedback about show content you'd like to see across the network. And even better, once you've completed the survey, you can enter for a chance to win a $100 Visa gift card. The survey is short and sweet and will help us play ads you don't want to skip and also keep bringing you content you love. Just go to lemonadamedia.com/survey. Survey. 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 Survey.